Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kazmi 107.1 FM and across the world at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. National ID services disrupted nationwide as National Identification Authority staff began indefinite strike. We'll bring you the very latest on the industrial action. Also coming up on the program and still on the labor front, Civil and Local Government Staff Association CLOGSAG files an injunction to restrain National Labour Commission from interfering with ongoing strike by staff of the Birth and Death Registry. And much later this afternoon, we have some updates on the infamous SkyTrain trial as the Attorney General intends to call 8 witnesses against accused persons. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, issuance of National Identification Card and service delivery at the offices of the National Identification Authority, NIA, are expected to be severely disrupted across the country, following an indefinite strike by staff of the authority, effective today, Tuesday, the 24th of June, 2025. This action follows a resolution by the Divisional Executive Council of the Public Services Workers Union, PSW, NRA, after a final round of failed engagement with the Ministry of Finance on Monday, the 23rd of June 2025. The union describes this decision as quote-unquote difficult but necessary, citing the ministry's persistent failure to provide a definitive commitment or timeline for paying the operational support allowance, the only financial supplement to NIA staff's basic salaries. We'll now engage with the leadership of the striking workers, but first, let's find out what's happening on the ground. Ibrahim Abubakar is our man in the Ashanti region. He joins us live on the line. Ibrahim, what can you report from where you are?
Well, Beatrice, I can say that, in fact, today many applicants had to leave the premises of the NIA frustrated. We do know how busy that offices are on daily basis, but as I speak to you this morning, you just find a few people who are just hanging around, hoping that help will come from somewhere so that they will be able to get their ID cards. In fact, for most of the people who are quite frustrated, they said they were there yesterday, they were scheduled to come today for their ID cards, only to turn up and be told that the workers are on strike. So no services is being rendered. There are people who are to come all the way from other districts or other municipalities from Dwaso, 2 hours drive to Kumasi, only to leave the premises frustrated. And they are just hoping that the government will, as a matter of urgency, or swiftly intervene and make sure that these workers resume their services for them to be able to get their ID cards. There are others I met who are racing against time to be able to register for their national service. Others also racing against time to be able to go for interviews for their passports and the likes. And all these people do not know when workers will even resume their services for them to get their ID cards. I earlier engaged with some of the applicants, and let's listen to what they've been sharing with us.
I have spelling mistake on my Ghana card, and I was directed to come here. I came here, that was 2 days ago. So, and I was asked to come back with my school certificates. That's WAS certificates. So this morning, I didn't hear anything about any strike going on. So that's why I'm here this morning, but only to be told that they are on strike. We're just about to start our national service, and they are requiring this Ghana cards as part of our documentation. So if I don't get it on time, it's going to affect me.
I'm here to get a replacement for my Ghana card because I was robbed last week, Saturday. Came here yesterday for it, but due to the network system, they couldn't do it, so they told me to come this morning. And this morning when I came to, they said that they are on strike. Which yesterday they did not tell me anything, so right now I'm confused on why yesterday they did not tell us that they were going on strike.
And you heard that some frustrated applicants for the Ghana card. Ibrahim Abubakar is so on the line with us. Ibrahim, Ashanti region is one of the biggest regions we have. Are you able to tell us how big the impact could be across that region with this strike?
Very, very huge, because like I rightly said, these are institutional offices that every now and then you find long queues, because we do know that Ghana card has become an integral part in our everyday affairs. If you want to transact business, everything. So almost everybody needs the card. And there are others who are also struggling because of some mistake on their card which doesn't correspond with their other documents. And for that matter, they need to get it done as soon as possible. So this is likely going to impact a lot of people. It is going to delay the services they need. Like I said, people even have appointments for their passport interviews today and tomorrow, and they need these cards to be able to facilitate those things. And without them getting it, it means their services will be delayed. And for now, this is not just an inconvenience. It is kind of a block to the future of many people, because the opportunities that they need will be delayed because of the absence of the Ghana card.
Indeed. And have you had any word from any management member from there?
Well, for now, no. You go to the NIA office, the regional manager is there. He's just sitting there, unable to do anything, because as an administrator, he just has to be there. But the workers keep leaving, and there is nothing he can do for them. He is even confused, because there are people that he has promised for them to come today for their cards. They have come, and he's unable to render any services to them. So he's also just hoping that maybe by tomorrow or by the close of the week, government will intervene for all the workers to resume their services.
Ibrahim Abubakar, thank you very much for bringing us the latest from there. Ibrahim there, bringing us an update on this strike, indefinite strike declared by staff members of the National Identification Authority nationwide. And I'm sure you also heard some of the people he spoke to expressing their frustration regarding the indefinite strike that they were not even aware of. Let's come back to Accra because Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogbe is also standing by with a report from the headquarters of the NIA. He joins us live on the phone. Joseph, just tell us what you have seen so far.
Yeah, so currently here at the head office, we are told that the Labour Fair Wages Commission, staff in the Fair Wages Commission and that of the leadership of the NIA are going to a meeting. We were here when they actually arrived. So they are currently in a meeting to see how they can resolve this thing amicably. So what is happening here is that anybody who has traveled from far and near to the head office for any services is being directed to go to the regional office, because the head office where I am now, they've stopped issuing cards to the general public. So not much impact is being felt here at the head office, because all activities have been moved now to the regional office, unless those who have no idea that these services have been moved to the regional office. So what is happening here at the head office now is that not much traffic is here. We are trying to move from this place to the regional office to see how this strike is biting. But what I can report now is that there is a meeting currently ongoing between the Fair Wages Commission and that of the leadership of the NIA.
So what you're saying, just for clarity, is that there's not a lot of traffic at the headquarters because the NIA already, not because of the strike, has stopped issuing cards to people at the headquarters.
Exactly so. So what is happening here is that the head office have stopped issuing cards to the general public, and that we were told sometime last week. So if you move to the regional office, that is where we'll really get the impact of the strike ongoing. But they confirmed to us that the strike is being observed across board, even at the head office. At the head office, we have two groups of people who work over there. We have the union staff and the non-union staff. So if you come to the head office today, anybody that attends to you is known as a non-union staff of the NIA. But all union staff are staying at home beginning today due to the ongoing strike. So, well, if you get to the office, you'll be attended to, but those who are attending to you are not union staff of the NIA.
Thank you very much, Joseph Armstrong Alogbe. He is our correspondent monitoring situations in the Greater Accra region following the declaration of the indefinite strike by workers of the National Identification Authority. We'll bring you more as and when we have the latest. We stay on labor-related issues because the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOCSAC, has also filed an application seeking an order to restrain the National Labour Commission from interfering with the ongoing strike by staff of the Birth and Death Registry. The Birth and Death Registry staff began an indefinite strike on the 17th of June, alleging verbal abuse by the registrar Samuel Boche. CLOCSAC, the labour union representing the workers, has endorsed the industrial action and is now seeking to restrain the NLC from interfering in the ongoing strike. The association says that the strike will continue until the concerns of its members are fully addressed and appropriate sanctions meted out to the registrar. Neither the National Labour Commission nor the registrar has publicly responded to the latest development. Meanwhile, the strike is said to have affected services at the Birth and Death Registry. And shortly, we'll be crossing over to our reporter who is currently at the Birth and Death Registry in Accra to bring us the latest on this. But don't go away.
Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
And you're still here on the Midday News on 3FM 92.7, 13 minutes past the hour of 12. Now, the Ghana Education Service has called for calm among aggrieved teacher trainees following Monday's picketing over unpaid salaries. The GES assures that efforts are underway to resolve the payment delays affecting thousands of newly recruited teachers. Over 2,000 teachers recruited in 2024, though issued staff IDs, remain unpaid due to expired financial clearance. An additional 600 trainees are yet to receive their IDs due to unresolved documentation issues. GES says that a nationwide validation exercise was carried out in March this year to clean up irregularities in the recruitment process. A technical committee has also been formed to improve communication with affected teachers. The service says it has submitted a formal request to the Ministry of Finance seeking an extension of financial clearance to facilitate payment. Now, while the GES works towards a resolution, frustrated trainees demand urgent action. And let's hear from Simon Kofi, who is one of the... Okay, he actually joins us live on the line. He is one of the conveners for the protesters. And, okay, so let's hear him. He spoke to us earlier.
Why are you on strike? Why are you picketing? Let me put it that way. Not on strike, but you're picketing. Why are you doing that?
Thank you very much, and good morning to your listeners and all who are watching live on social media. I must say, as you rightly put it, we are aggrieved, and we think the best way to have our issues resolved for us was to come to the headquarters of the GES to come and show our displeasure as to why they have decided to keep our staff IDs for 10 months, and some few who also have their staff IDs have been denied salary for the same period of months, while others whom we started the same work with on the same day, the same time frame, have received their staff IDs and they are taking their monthly salaries.
There's no explanation to this.
Well, previously when we came, we were told that the clearance that was issued last year, that warranted our posting, had actually expired in December last year. And so we were told that a letter was written to the formal administration for an extension, of which it wasn't done till date. And one thing we are finding it difficult to understand is the fact that we are very much aware that the clearance was given to a group of people. Let's say we are 5. The clearance had come for 5 of us. And so we expect that it covers the 5 of us. So along the line, if 3 out of the 5 should be active and then 2 out of the 5 will be inactive, to some extent it raises questions. So that is what we still don't understand.
I see. So for you satisfied every prerequisite that was there.
Exactly. Sure.
So that's where you don't see why your ID cards have not gotten to you. Do you gentlemen have ID cards, by the way?
We don't.
That's tough IDs.
But you have colleagues who have ID cards, who are also, giving clearance the same period that you were giving clearance.
Yes.
But is it the first time you are talking to GES about this matter?
It's not the first time.
But the GES Deputy Director General says she doesn't know about it.
That was an unfortunate statement she made yesterday, and I think that's I would say it aggravated the whole situation. In that in April we were there. Personally, it's the 4th time being to their office, and then in April we came there in numbers as we did yesterday. And so it was on the same issue. So for her to have said that it's the first time she's getting to know, it's very unfortunate on her part.
But she's made a request that puts the grievances on paper. Had you previously written to the GES?
Like I said, it is not a new thing for us to be writing.
But is there an official complaint from your grouping to the GES?
Oh, yes.
And you had that Simon Kofi. He's one of the protest conveners for the aggrieved GES members or teachers who are striking over their unpaid salaries for some months now. Let's return to our earlier story about the Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana. Clerks are filing an application seeking an order to restrain the National Labour Commission from interfering with the ongoing strike by staff of the Birth and Death Registry. Beatrice Adu is my colleague who's been visiting the registry, offices of the registry. She joins us live on the line. Beatrice, are you able to tell us where you've been and what you can report?
Okay, I was at the Birth and Death Registry at the Shiashi office, and upon getting there, we met some workers who were working. Business was going on as usual. There were patrons coming in and out of the office, transacting their businesses as normal. Upon getting there, we also had an interview we spoke to the head of projects at the registry, Mr. Emmanuel Norte Botri, and he told us that they have been working, but he read online about the strike action, that he challenged Clocksack to come out and tell the people what really happened in the previous strike action they embarked on, and what was the outcome of the court case, because it looked like they withdrew the case from court, and the appointed former registrar went about her duties. And so he's asking them that why is it that every newly appointed registrar they embark on strike action, and that the strike action is actually affecting the image of the registry on the international front. He said their targets are actually affected as well. And so he believes that if there are any concerns with regards to for any of them to embark on a strike, they need to go to the right channels, speak to the right authorities, and ensure that their grievances and concerns are being reported and addressed. He also said that taking the route of a strike is actually not the way to go.
So, Beatrice, that's like a direct response to the workers of the Birth and Death Registry who are supposed to be striking. But I want clarity. Did you say that you still met some of them attending to clients? Because I heard you say clients were moving in and out of the offices. Can you give us clarity?
Oh, yes. When we arrived, there were workers there. The accounts were, he mentioned that the accounts were working, the finance departments were working, the client service were working. We actually saw some patrons come in, to transact their businesses as usual. Like, business is going on as usual over there at the Shiashi branch.
Thank you very much, Beatrice. So she's my colleague, visiting officers of the Birth and Death Registry. Following what we heard earlier was the document filed by the Clocksack earlier to prevent the NIA from interfering in that strike by the staff of the Birth and Death Registry. Some 20 minutes past the hour of 12. This is still the Midday News here on 3FM 92.7. Now, the Attorney General will call on 8 witnesses to testify in the SkyTrain scandal involving former board chairman of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Professor Christopher Amir-Konfi, and ex-Chief Executive Solomon Asamoah. Prosecution notified the Accra High Court during a case management conference on Tuesday. Now, the 2 former GIIF officials have been charged with multiple offences, including causing financial loss to the state, intentional dissipation of public funds. They have also pleaded not guilty and are on bail. While Professor Amir-Konfi is on a 10 million Ghana cedi bail with 2 sureties to be justified, Solomon Asamoah has been granted a 15 million cedis bail with 2 sureties to be justified. Lord Edwasari is our court affairs correspondent. He joins us live on the line. Lord, what more can you report on the case management conference today?
Right, Beatrice. So today, prosecution was led by Chief State Attorney Savako Bache, rather than the Deputy Attorney General, Dr. Justice Ramsay, who's been coming over the period. Now, when the case was called, she indicated to the court that the prosecution were withdrawing 4 witnesses from the original list of witnesses that we were going to call against the 2 accused persons. That is the former board chair, Professor Amir-Konfi, and then the ex-chief executive, Solomon Asamoah. I would like to briefly mention them. So they indicated the witness statements of Seth Nana Kwame Osei, Benjamin Nasi Abrokwa, Reginald Okai, and Chief Inspector Kete will be withdrawn. And then they indicated that in place of that, they'll be calling 8 witnesses, including a staff officer, Francis Abwaji. So the list of the witnesses that will be calling are Yao Odame Dakwa, Kofi Boache, Andrews Ejenim Boateng, Mami Ekua, Shirwa Abebio, Yvonne Adole Soa, and Honorable Chiniba Kodia. We are yet to find out the identity of this person. Cecilia Gambria, like I indicated, Staff Officer Francis Abwaji. But in all of it, the counsel for the defense counsels indicated that they had not been served with the witness statements that the prosecution indicated that they were going to file. And so the judge indicated that the prosecution actually gave them 48 hours for them to serve the defense lawyers with those documents. It also came...
Go ahead and land, please.
Okay. The lawyer for Professor Amir-Konfi, Duke Aaron Sasu, he told the court that he had filed an application and wanted to move that application. But then the presiding judge, Comfort Asame, stopped him from moving it because she indicated that the details on the application had cited that he's supposed to move it on 9 July. Now, I did a little digging regarding the application that was, because he wasn't allowed to disclose the details of it in open court. But we found out that the application has to do with the defense lawyer referring the case of Professor Amir-Konfi to the Supreme Court, asking for some interpretations in the Constitution. So essentially, he's asking the High Court to stay proceedings while the Supreme Court makes a determination on that referral that they have made.
Okay, Lord, I also do know that earlier there was an application to vary the bill terms of Professor Amia Kumfi and Mr. Samoa. What happened to it?
Indeed, at the last agenda date, just before the case was adjourned, both lawyers in our court, in Kuros, actually asked for variation of the bill terms of Professor Amia Kumfi and then Solomon Samoa. Now, per their bill conditions, they are to... Solomon Samoa is supposed to report to the police investigators 3 times a week, and then Professor Amia Kumfi once a week. And so this is the reporting to the investigators that they wanted the variation of bill on. But when the case was called today, nothing of that sort came up. They did not file the formal application as was directed by the court. And so later on, I sought more clarity from the lawyers, and then they indicated that from the posturing from the judges, the last time that they made the oral application, they advised themselves to refrain from making a formal application because they felt that if they had filed it, there was a high possibility that it would be dismissed, or the terms may actually be increased from what it is presently, and that was why they refused to make the formal application altogether.
Thank you very much, Lord Adosare. He's our court affairs correspondent. His Majesty King Mswati III in Guanyama of the Kingdom of Eswatini is expected to arrive in Accra today, Tuesday the 24th of June, for a 4-day stay visit to Ghana. Upon arrival, he is expected to be hosted at the presidency by President John Mahama for bilateral relations. A memorandum of understanding is expected to be signed between the two countries during this meeting. Now, following the presidential engagement, the King will meet with officials at the African Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat before departing for Kumasi later in the day. In Kumasi, King Mswati III will be the distinguished guest of the Asantehene Otumfuo Tutu II. Our presidential correspondent Komla Klucha is at the presidency and standing by with an update on the highly anticipated visit of the King. Komla, if you can hear me, has the King arrived yet?
Absolutely not. He's expected to arrive in the next about 10 minutes. But senior government officials and then people from his country are already lined up here to welcome him at the airport. I must say, he is very special and also special relations to the Asante Kingdom. His friends with the 2432. And to the extent, even the very last time a senior government official was in his country was in 2024, where the foreign minister had attended and represented Ghana during a festival where some 30,000 women culturally displayed what the country is made of. And so it does appear beyond the bilateral relationships or relations that would exist between them, to which some agreement will be signed at the presidency today. He would also be jetting off shortly after that to go to Kumasi, where he will be met by 2432, and then that could be continued. He would be in the country for a couple of days, to which issues of both bilateral and multilateral and cultural relations would be reinvigorated.
Thank you very much, Komla Klucha. He's our presidential correspondent. Now, officials at the Western Regional Directorate of the National Disaster Management Organization are urgently calling for major rehabilitation works on the office building, citing serious structural defects that pose a threat to their safety and hinder effective operations. We'll bring you more on the story in our subsequent bulletins. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Log on to shrinews.com for more news.
Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up this afternoon, IC Research projects sharp decline in June inflation to 16% on back of strong cedi, lower fuel cost and transport fare cuts. Also ahead, Ghana cedi ranked among Africa's 10 strongest currencies in June, boosting hopes of lower inflation and economic respite amid forex gains. And Ghana could save $6 billion annually by managing single-use plastics. We'll hear from the Sector Minister, Murtala Mohammed.
About almost 6 billion, if you are able to do some of the things. And you may describe that as an ambitious thing. Because man, you will generate about 1.1 million kilograms of plastics a year.
These stories and others lined up for you. Please stay. Thanks for your company. Now to the very first story. Inflation in Ghana is expected to record another sharp decline in June 2025, dropping to 16% year-on-year, according to projections by IC Research. The anticipated fall is driven by the continued appreciation of the cedi, lower petrol prices, and recent cuts in commercial transport fares. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details. Inflation is forecast to drop sharply to 16% in June 2025, marking a continued easing of price pressures in the Ghanaian economy. According to IC Research, this projected 240 basis points decline is supported by a strong 35% appreciation of the cedi year-on-year, which has eased the cost of imported goods, especially petroleum products. This in turn led to a 15% cut in commercial transport fares, helping to drag transport inflation down to just over 3%. Food inflation is also expected to sustain its downward trend, following a sharp drop in inflation for vegetables and tubers, despite some month-on-month pressures due to the planting season. Non-food inflation, on the other hand, has plunged to 14.4%, with declines recorded across 10 of the 12 non-food divisions. Overall, June will mark the 5th straight monthly decline in headline inflation this year, with IC Research pointing to a combination of base effects, currency strength, and energy price reversals as key drivers. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on IC Research projecting sharp decline in June inflation to 16% on the back of strong cedi, lower fuel costs, and transport fare cuts. In a related development, the Ghana cedi has been ranked among the top 10 strongest African currencies for June 2025, following gains against the US dollar and other major trading currencies. The latest update from Forbes comes amid cautious optimism that a stronger cedi could support efforts to contain inflation and ease the cost of debt repayments. There is more in the following 3 Business News Desk report. As the second half of the year gets underway, the Ghana cedi is making notable gains, now ranked among the top 10 strongest currencies in Africa, according to Forbes Currency Converter update for June 2025. The local currency recorded a slight appreciation in value compared to the previous month, part of a broader trend in select African economies experiencing exchange rate recovery after years of high debt, inflation, and currency devaluation. Analysts say one of the most immediate benefits of a stronger cedi is the potential reduction in inflation as imports such as petroleum and food become cheaper. This is particularly crucial in economies like Ghana that rely heavily on foreign goods. A stronger currency also allows more flexibility for the central bank to cut interest rates without triggering further inflation. It could also help government reduce the cedi cost of servicing foreign debt, freeing up resources for investments in sectors like education and health. Other currencies that saw improvements this month include Tunisia and Morocco, while Libya, South Africa, and Botswana saw declines. The Ghana cedi's strengthening is seen by some economists as a sign of improving fundamentals, including better fiscal management and foreign exchange inflows. And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on the Ghana cedi being ranked among Africa's 10 strongest currencies in June, boosting hopes of lower inflation and economic respite amid forex gains. Now, the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology says Ghana stands to save approximately 6 billion cedis each year if it effectively manages the use of single-use plastics. The comments follow President John Dramani Maham's announcement of plans to ban the importation of production of styrofoam, citing its significant role in environmental pollution. Speaking at the 5th edition of the 2025 Environmental Sustainability Summit, organized by the Business and Financial Times, Sector Minister Murtala Ibrahim Mohammed expressed concern that the country currently recycles less than 10% of its plastic waste out of the over 1.1 kilograms waste generated annually.
We should about almost 6 billion if you are able to do some of the things. And you may describe that as an ambitious thing. Because man, you will generate about 1.1 million tons, kilograms of plastics a year. 1.1 million. And we can only be able to get about half of it. More than half we are not able to collect. And even the about half that we collect, we only recycle 9% of the about half. That is where do they end up? They end up in our water bodies, in our gutters. When it rains now, you see the drainage. So it means the government would have to be spending a lot of money to do things we would have avoided if we didn't have this, this danger of plastics. So if we're able to solve that, we would have been saving so much money, and that would amount to billions of cedis if you're able to do that. Because assuming you are not able to do that, it means that you have to factor that in your GDP, and that becomes expenditure. But if you're able to solve it, you don't spend that. It becomes a revenue to you as a state. So these are some of the things that we're looking forward to doing.
The Environment Minister, Murtala Ibrahim Mohammed, further revealed that the government is in discussions with local plastic manufacturers to explore eco-friendly alternatives suited for the domestic market. The minister reaffirmed government's commitment to working with the private sector to create policies that are both environmentally sustainable and economically inclusive.
I have had some discussions. I was in France and Nice last 2 weeks, and I guess a sister media house engaged me and engaged the president of the local producers of plastics, and they did indicate that they will be coming to see us. That's why I said, look, we are not just going to say we're going to ban. And as part of the processes of getting alternatives where we can assist our local, plastic producers to divert from either the direct use of plastics in the productions that they have, in the items that ensures our urban convenience, we will do it with them. We will not just do it in isolation. And like I said, I don't have doors in my office. So it's not about my doors are open. I don't even have doors. I'm willing at any point in time to engage them, and that is the position of government, that we should not do things in isolation. We need to engage them. Whatever laws that we are able to make for the implementation, we are doing them for the good people of this country, and therefore they must be active participants in the formulation of the policies which may lead to having some legal regimes that will regulate the conduct of everybody in this country.
And that was the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Murtala Ibrahim Mohammed. Let's now turn our attention to the agri sector, and in a bid to minimize waste and improve productivity and profitability in Ghana's agri sector, the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana has engaged some key stakeholders on a national interpretation of global standards. The engagement aims to equip farmers with practices that can address weaknesses in their productions and a broader market coverage leveraging the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA. Speaking to 3 Business, Chief Executive of the Chamber, Anthony Morrison, stressed it will help create a professionalized industry for national development.
Standards helps us to reduce the inefficiencies in cost in terms of production, and also making sure that we increase our profit level because we are becoming more efficient in the production. But more importantly, about the ISO 1816 It's an international standard of which the Ghana Standards Authority is a subscriber of. We're also looking at how we can adequately prepare our smallholder farmers in a commercial sense, in a business sense, for them to also actively take part in the rules of origin, to say, which is of the Africa Union after. These are some of the very fundamental things that we need to do as a country. Eventually, this increases our market penetration and export penetration.
Anthony Morrison is Chief Executive of the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, and that brings us to the end of Business Daily on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. For more business stories, please check out our website, it's3news.com. Thanks for your company.